Hello and welcome to the Cronos Watcher YouTube. Think I might be having some difficulty with the internet and streaming and that kind of stuff, all of that fun stuff. So maybe even regretting tweeting this out now, but we'll give it a go, see how it goes, and maybe consider an internet upgrade after the fact. But I have some charts here in front of me from Deck Screener. If you don't already use it, definitely get into it. Works on mobile. Tend to bookmark it on Chrome is the easiest and fastest way to do it. So obviously starting out, nothing is going to be financial advice here. Just want this to be some good background for you. Check out the charts as I'm always doing, and I'm sure you all want to hear other people's opinions and get updates, maybe some things I've spotted you haven't. If you are interested and you're engaged in the stream ever, just drop a token you want me to look at. I will say up front, no offense to anyone if it happens that I don't want to cover a token in particular. We want to kind of stick with the established projects here, keep everyone safe and enjoying their experience in DeFi and the Cronos blockchain. So we get straight into it here. We've got Mad Meerkat Finance in front of us, and as you can see, it's pretty much straight up to the ceiling right now. It has, I think, surpassed most of its kind of ICO dropout. So you can see here, what was the top of the ICO price was 128, almost 130, was it? Excuse me, that's the wrong reading, is it? Oh no, sorry, yes, it's at $1.18 right now, and indeed the top of the ICO price was like 130, so we're kind of starting to climb towards that, and it's often a sign with projects that they're going to continue doing so, continue passing out the ICO and moving on from those days, or at least that perhaps one day this might look like a big huge spike. We can always come back down. The price of everything can always move back down towards that lower side, of course, but I suppose talking in probabilities, at least, not statistics, we've nothing to really back this up with, but you can see here that we've pretty much definitely got continued upside for the moment. I have a MACD on as an indicator on these things. Obviously it doesn't work so well at the start of most of these things. A MACD doesn't actually even print on the 4 hour for a lot of the charts, and you can see it's only starting to print here for MMF on the daily. So technically not too useful. It just gives me personally an indicator of direction, that's all. At the time, you can see during some of these downtrends here, let's make it a little bigger. While we were, what was this, the 4th of March, so I think that would have been pre all of the treehouse madness that we've had, pardon the pun, but you can see it moved all the way back down to 69 cent here from a high of 82 cent, and the MACD can actually kind of indicate that, show you that move as it happened, not necessarily before. You can see here, once this moving average, which is a shorter one than the orange one, I believe they're in hours, so it's a 12 and a 26, I think. I should double check that for myself even, but just from over years watching this as an indicator, you kind of get this feeling of when this short moving average line crosses from the upside below this moving average line, the orange one, that's usually an indicator that you've got continued downside after that, and you can see that that's exactly what happened here. The 12-hour EMEA, that's what they're called, exponential moving average, I believe, that dropped below the 26 and indicated continued downside trend, and we moved all the way down to 70 cent again. And you can see once the volume on the histogram of the MACD here tends to cool off, then you've got an indicator that we may be seeing some more upside, and sure enough, that kind of action was confirmed then after the fact. Now, a lot of this isn't statistics and probability again, because you just don't have the data to back that up. It just simply doesn't exist. These coins haven't been around for long enough. The only reason you see such a crazy MACD reading there is because the token is so young. If we go to a daily, as I say, it's not even printed on Bitcoin or Ethereum or the likes, coins that have been around for a long time. The MACD can, obviously, everything's only probabilities and statistics, but it can give you a really good indicator of the direction and the trend of a coin. Usually if you're at the top of the green here in the Instagram and you've got your short-term moving average well above the longer term one, then you're in a big uptrend. You're in the middle of it, or you're at least the very start of it, if it was very fast, because it will take these things time to react. So you can see here that on the daily, the MACD only prints that pretty large percentage move down of 50% as this little blip there in the histogram that the negative volume was. So we have so little data that, you know, they're kind of not useful until you get down to the 4 hour and the 1 hour timelines. Maybe if you're looking for a place to jump in on something, if you're sitting around overnight or whatever, or you're waking up in the morning and deciding where you're going to put your trade, then the MACD can be a good indicator of whether or not the current trend is going to continue. So you can see here on a 15-minute, we pretty much guess that the negative volume we've seen here for the last while is going to taper off. Might see some continued upside, and there's some confirmation as I'm speaking about it. But over the hour, I can guess we are really hot. So you can see here now that as we've had some sales over the last short while, 2 or 3 hours, this MACD is starting to really cool down, and that short-term moving average is going to cross below the longer-term moving average, indicating another trend to the downside. And that would kind of be a bit predictable after the huge exponential run we've had now the last few days. The news that's come out about MMF and the fact that they've reached $1, they reached $1 billion in TVL. We would be due a cool off, surely, unless they're just going to keep pumping out the good news every other day, which it seems they're capable of. But great success there for MMF. If we look at M-Share, I'm just interested in this. Again, it's another token that's really benefiting off the platform's growth. As we see there, you know, kind of predictable ICO madness happening in the 4 hour. If we zoom out to the daily, you know, you can kind of ignore the likes of this as the initial buy up, excitement about the project, and then people selling off their profits and etc. And again, we're so young that these, as you hear Eric Crown refer to them as, if you don't follow him, you should. If you're a Bitcoin maxi and you like trading and charting, you should follow Eric Crown. As he would call them, the Trollinger bands here. They haven't even printed. There's like literally nothing to look at because it just doesn't have the data. Again, these tokens are so new. But on the 4 hour, at least, you can see that it's in a real strong uptrend. I don't know why I don't have a MACD here. We should add it all together. And you can see that again on the 4 hour with the MACD, absolute craziness, really. But we'd be due another cool off now with M-Share. We've had what percentage run in the last few days? So over the last week, 7 days, it's done 116% up. Is it roughly something like that? So that's pretty monumental. Even though it's a share token and they do appreciate in value quite a lot, we can expect some cool off here, some profit taking, and that the only other potential upside would be continued volume coming on chain. And obviously share tokens are quite attractive, especially to the likes of whales and that, because it's sort of guaranteed revenue on those platforms. Normally the share token is one of the last ones you would invest into. Let's say you've farmed in an LP and you want to use the profits from that for the share token, and often the share token will either be you know, simply a revenue model based on the platform, or it's like the bonds that you've seen, which is more to do with you know, pegged coins and value and that, which is very complicated. We'll try and get into it someday, maybe here. But again, any token you tend to see with share on it, do your own research, not financial advice. But those are the ones that are the revenue sharing model for the platform. So again, M-Share doing quite well. It was literally just a yield farm protocol that was launched through MMF. I don't think it's the team themselves. I think it's another team, a separate team, but it was just one. I think it was their first project on their own launchpad. So it's been incredibly successful. A little bit of a cool off due, as I said, but continued potential upside if again, the volume coming onto the chain and the excitement around everything continues. So looking at Sky here, and I'll attempt to record this one because I want to try and throw some of them down for future reference. So Sky token from darkcrypto.finance, very cool platform. Again, this is kind of like a share token. This has done a pretty monumental run over the month. What is it at the moment? Roughly 500%, I would say. I'll have to resize my screen now, so annoying. But absolutely crazy. And it's not even that long. It is just a month that it's done this. 500% up from its lows of $190, and that was really just while the platform was kind of growing and starting. And obviously, I presume this has gotten eaten up now as dark crypto has gotten more popular. They also have a GameFi kind of ecosystem started already, I believe, and growing. I saw a game, like a racing game, I believe, on the website at one stage. I did think to myself, that's got to be a long way off. It's just literally just a picture, but very exciting things from this platform. And obviously the farming and liquidity pools and everything like that are doing very well already. So we've seen some downside already today. On the 4 hour here, you can see it kind of struggling against that top of 1121. So that's $1,121, again up from its low of 190 over the month. So we should surely expect some cooling off. It is a revenue share token. It will sell at some point, and if there is increased pressure to sell because of news events or anything else happening in the chain, then you would see a potential large downside, because you can see just here, that's an 18% move in those wicks there today alone. So just want to be careful of. Again, it's up 500%, so it's really hot at the moment, and you can see, I suppose it's safe enough that it has climbed above this ICO madness craziness that happened here, and we can ignore, I suppose, whatever potential prices are there all the way up there to look at if you're dreaming of some wishful thinking. Not here, not in the Cronos Watcher. We're going to try and keep it very stable. So moving on as well, I want to take a look at another interesting one, a project I've been following and something that is happening on the chain that is attracting a lot of attention, which is the nodes. And this is CRN. Believe it's Cronos is the name of the project. And I remember myself looking at this project very early on, somewhere around the end of January. So yeah, God. And totally missing the point. Also, just, it's always best to be careful with the likes of a passive income or instant return project. And Cronos was so new. The project looked so new. The website was okay. It was okay. So I dismissed it personally as kind of, Ponzinomics or whatever, which is that it is essentially Ponzinomics, but did dismiss it, regretted the fact. But also witnessed that thing of so many people jumping in at these points over the course of the last month. I'm only realizing now that's why we're looking at such a choppy chart. That was a 1 hour. Even if we go to the daily here, we get a better overall view of what happened here. So obviously there was basically no attention on CRN for quite a long time. Went all the way down to 140, and all of a sudden, I believe people from off-chain too started to discover it. And you can see, even though there's nothing printing, how crazy the volume statistics here are. I don't know why they're showing up in bars. It should be lines. Much prefer the lines on the histogram. I keep clicking that save as default, and I suppose it's just that Deck Screener is sort of hosting TradingView here, so it's a little different. But where we went all the way down to there, and then had a meteoric rise to $50 after everyone aping in and that. And of course, then we had some sell pressure then in the middle, which you'd expect. But there was a lot of support, I thought myself as well, around these lines. So if we go to the 4 hour, you can kind of see it in the form of candles and how the sell pressure was happening. But if I go to draw some absolutely useless lines here, you can see a bit of a support there. How do I make this thicker? I thought so at least. Support around here and here, you could see that it looked like it would be stable at certain points. And just to be extremely rough about it, if we draw one right through there, it looks like that, like about $30. Had it been stable, that it would have been okay. But of course, then I think we've had some negative news events with Cronodes itself, and a bit of panic selling in that. I think Mad Meerkat Treehouse Mint affected everything. I believe that's probably around there. 5th of March would make sense, I think, yeah. And already now we've had a real, sort of leveling off in volume and sell pressure and everything. You can see the volume here moving from about 1 million some days, 1 million in volume there and 750k there, all the way down to about 186k in volume, which indicates that a lot of people are either not selling so much or they're compounding, however that's happening. But I think we just had a lot of whale action, which hugely bumped the price and the TVL and everything. And now it's all the way back down to that 970. You can see that the market cap really of the project is only 9.8 million. So that's why the price is so sensitive to all of that huge buy pressure that came in. You can see all those large green candles, and then once it had calmed down, it made it back down to that $20. You can see a huge amount of volume comes in then again to try and buy up and get into the project. I believe there's more nodes, so not making any advice or calls or anything like that. Personally, I would probably wait myself to see what happens with this and other node projects. I believe, I've heard at least, that the real way to take advantage of them is to be in early. So if you were in at that time at the start, kind of the ICO was going out, I think maybe it started at 0 or 20 cent or something like that. Its initial price, its initial listing was, it seems to be like 35, 40 cents. Maybe $1. They probably started at $1. But if you can see that if you were in anywhere here, it was like a straight 20 days return on your investment. And if you did that, you were probably a pretty happy bunny as all of this went on. But a lot of people jumped into this project here and will still be waiting on for their return on investment for a time here. But right now it is settled, not too much pressure. I would expect it not to go too much further down, and with further development in the project, with any positive news events, I would say you could be hopeful at least for some sort of positive price action when it comes to Cronos. So not too much else I want to check out on in the chart. You can see I just have a watch list here. If I jump out to it, you can add to your own watch list in Dex Screener. If you just do it in your browser, it'll save it all. Every time you come back to the web page, it'll just be the same way again. It's done through cookies. I think you can export it as well. Just be careful of that. If you do start using it to track your own stuff, you can export the thing there, because obviously you lose all of your LARP lines and all of that good stuff. But you can see I only have like 11 coins in this watch list. I would think of a few extra in the one on my phone, just kind of keeping up with the ecosystem and everything. So I'm sure these will expand as we go forward, but for right now there's not too many of them. So thankfully it seems there hasn't been many people here, and my internet is very seriously struggling. I think I've dropped in and out once or twice, so it'll be good to check it out, to check it back again. And I think I started recording from Sky there at least, so if it is terrible, we can put up a couple of token videos and see. So is there anything else? I think before, that's my Twitter, in case you wanted to have a look at that. Very unprofessional altogether. If we jump over here and look at Chronoscan, this is another resource you should always be on. I know this, we're kind of larping around here now, but we'll see. We'll have some sort of a what would you call it, a schedule for all of these shows and stuff. But if you visit the Cronos Chain Explorer, there's a few handy statistics, things like you can see the total transaction volume. You can see the transactions hourly in the last 14 days, so I presume it's an hourly average. I'm sure there's somewhere where the wallets are listed and everything as well, but the place I tend to visit is the charts and stats here, and you can have a look at all sorts of interesting stuff. The daily transactions is basically the most interesting one to me. You can see we've got a real uptrend here now over the last month, again 2 months really, showing like very much a strong support for the chain, and healthy transaction volumes always point to a healthy chain because it means lots of different people are doing different things on the chain. I suppose the unique address chart is another great one to look at. I mean, look, that's just straight up, and I suppose it's not going to stop from here. I've only had another 50,000 in the last month again, but like, we can't expect it to be straight upwards the entire time. So if you did want some bullish sentiment on Cronos blockchain in general, those are great to look at. I suppose obviously there's some more nerdy stuff around. I will wait until I educate myself more on everything to start talking about things too much. But things now like here, the gas price chart, you can see we're very level, very stable the entire time. So it's interesting. It's interesting to be here, part of the Crow fam. Very great time to be jumping on and hopefully making lots of friends first, community vibe and everything, and a bit of money after. Wouldn't it be good? Wouldn't it be good? So that's it from me, the Cronos Watcher. Hope you've enjoyed yourself. I'll have to try and come up with a style, not to ramble too much. Trying, if we're doing these chart ones, I want to keep the opinions to myself and just hit the chart, tell you what the price was, where I think we're going, and how things are looking. So I'll see how regular we make it, see how many viewers we get and everything. Thankfully, I was on my own for this one because it's nerve-wracking to say the least. But it was very good to have you here. I'm trying to find my other screen so I can pause this after we're done. Thanks for joining me if you are afterwards, if you're checking it out or anything like that. You can find me on Twitter in the description, it should be. And hit me up there as well if you want me to cover any coins or anything like that, or just chat stuff. I'm in a lot of the spaces there with a lot of cool people. Start shouting them out here when I know more and we're all a bit more cool with each other and everything. I don't want to be trying to use anyone's name to gain exposure and that. So if you did join me after on the recording, thanks for being here, and I will see you soon again. Goodbye for now from the Cronos Watcher.